Sam here. I am so glad that you are here with us today to see this interview, this little chat with my friend Christma. And we actually got connected through a mutual coach of ours and found out we have been on a very similar journey, leading a life of recovery and now wanting to do what we can to help in the world. And we are both going to be sharing out the word about the B word. Virtual Summit. It's coming up in July. It's free to register, but you do have to register to get in and get all the goodies. And so, Chrisma, I just want you to introduce yourself for just a minute, just a couple minutes, say where you're at in the world, how you help in the world, and maybe just a little bit about you.
All right. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate it. This is exciting, and I'm so excited for everybody to join us on this journey. My recovery journey actually started back in 2005, and I think when most people say recovery, we think of like substance use, and that was like the beginning for me. But since then, there's been so many experiences of recovery. And so like that now is like the education that I'm providing the community I'm in because I took all like the pain and the struggle and the frustrations and like all of it and everything that was like poured into me recovery wise, I like poured back into the community that I live in locally and started a nonprofit and that to support others with substance use. But also being able to collaborate with those other sectors and with those other agencies around the community to provide wraparound support to create teams for everybody. Like we are all here, takes a village to raise a kid, but like really it takes a team our entire life. And that's what we promote. And that's what helped the nonprofit I started to be so successful is like understanding that recovery is defined as regaining things once lost. And so we looked to the domestic violence, the foster care system, homelessness, food disparity, like they're all different types of experiences that people can like experience and then come back from and regain those pieces of themselves. And we would really like to highlight the fact that the lived experience we get from those really make us the expert in what's wrong with the systems. Where are things broken? How do we make them better? People with lived experience are the experts in that. And kudos to the other people at the table that are fighting for us and want to be a voice and carry up people that might be marginalized. But we got to make sure people with lived experience are at the table too. So that's a big passion of mine. And then the other thing is, and that's really what I'm coming into this event about, is being on a recovery journey from substance use and mental health and like codependency, and then falling back in. And the like intense shame and like frustration that can almost keep us away and keep us in that battle again. And it's just absolutely mind-blowing the journey of digging out of that, like waiting for that lotus experience, like of coming back and being that beautiful, energetic, loving radiance again. And to know that we're secular, that we're going to dive back into the mud sometimes, and we're going to go through. And that's a lot of my story, especially now recently, having experienced all the six, like whatever social norms and so like social acceptability and successes, and still coming to a place of, wow, I can't believe I lost myself again. And to really deep dive into the self-compassion that I think we all need. So we come back quicker, right? And build that resiliency again.
Because you're not
Which is,
starting from where you started at the beginning. You're starting
yes.
again from where you are now. And I could probably comment on most of everything you shared because our stories are so similar. And I was recovering not from drugs or alcohol. And when I tell people I'm in recovery, they're like, I didn't think you like you still drink. And I'm like, that's not my issue. I can have one, I'm fine. But I was recovering from self-hate.
Mm.
And I had been on this journey for a long time. I'd done a lot of work, a lot of recovery, 12-step programs, like all kinds of programs. And at 2020, right when COVID happened, I recognized I was in the middle of another situation in another relationship with someone that was a compulsive liar. I moved myself all the way from one part of the country all the way to the other part of the country to be with them. and then realized that I'm like, I was so angry at myself. I'm like, how did this happen again? And I loaded everything up, came back home and restarted. And somehow I believe God was able to connect me to a relationship coach, which was another level of healing that I needed. And then within I, my relationship coach cannot make this promise, but within 3 months of starting to work with him, I met my now husband. And we just celebrated our second wedding anniversary after being together for 4 years. Yeah,
And you built
it's,
yourself a team. Like that's what the coach was. It's like when some people have the ability, right? If we've been through it, we know who we can pull into our
yeah,
team. So,
we're not supposed to go through life alone. Part of my testimony is that like life is about togetherness and me too's. We are not on a solo mission. And so what I love about what you say is you bring all that together, and the people that have the lived experiences, the people that are going that have gone through it can be the ones to help educate. I had a situation when I got out of my abusive marriage in 2015 where I told the pastor, I finally had the courage to tell the pastor at my church after his wife encouraged me to say something what was going on. And he looked at me and he said, "Hey, let me know how that goes. I have to go start the service."
mm,
And he never circled back. It was like I was shocked. And
there's
in that
spiritual,
situation,
yeah. Mm.
yeah,
The
and in
spiritual
that
trauma
moment,
goes with
it
that. Yeah.
yes. And what I recognized though is it wasn't necessarily his job to get me in a better, a different place. But in my mind, his job would have been to be connected to people like you in the community to say, you know what, I'm not the one that can help you with that, but I know XYZ organization, or have you reached out to somebody? And that's a really big reason why I started Safe Heart Connections, was because of that experience. And everybody that comes to Safe Heart Connections is not getting out of an abusive situation. And now we've pivoted more, and I work more with coaches, entrepreneurs, business owners, women that are givers in the world that have recognized they have built a business, but they're exhausted, and to learn to create a business that loves them back while it honors their energy. And so it's really changed over 10 years, but it all started, I believe, in that moment when he's let me know how that works out for you. And I was like, when life gets hard, who do you go to? And so we could go on and on just about our stories all day long, but let's talk just really quickly about the B Word Virtual Summit. The link will be below where you can sign up. It is free to register, and you'll get in the community, get set up, get settled a little bit. You can start to poke around a little bit. The summit starts July 7th. So you can register now and get in, and it is free. But what I want you to know, there is a VIP option. And when you get in the community, you'll find out about that. It is not required, but this is our fourth summit, and this is the best VIP option I've ever added. I am truly so excited about it. And Christma, would you just spend a couple of minutes talking about boundaries? And I know you don't give away your whole thing, what you're going to talk about, but just a little bit about boundaries and maybe how they've impacted you, or what you'd like to share around boundaries and why they're so important.
So for me, it was really tying the connections together between the journey of going from judgment to discernment. And then being able to tie those boundaries onto the discernment and people would say, I would say discernment's a gift, right? We've heard that. And like judgment is what will keep us stuck. And it's so easy, right? To take other people's inventory and keep that piece off of us. But when I get to a place of making peace with myself, I can discern what works for me and what doesn't. And that's what I shifted is, right? Like I could look out into the world and I no longer had this judgment of people. I could be like, I'm glad that works for you. I know what doesn't for me. And like that piece of it, like being able to come back and tie that into, okay, that's my boundary. I can identify my boundary based off of what is a head, heart, and gut lineup for myself. And then how do I hold on to that? I think that's the coming back of like building that resiliency and the acceptance of, yes, we have to go through the mucky water again in order to stand in our truth and be okay. Again,
Yeah, so
having those
good.
boundaries and knowing and not having the shame. Again, it's like that secular piece of how mind blowing of like, how did I become uh, delusional or disengaged from my own power that says it's okay to have these feelings. It's okay to have this line in the dirt that says this is what works and what doesn't. So that to me is where I'm coming from when it comes to boundaries. And again, the self-compassion of we're gonna have those, and then something might grab our attention
Yeah,
and pull us back into this 3D experience that we're supposed to be having, and that we learn a lesson. Are we willing to come back and take that lesson with us and move
yeah, to
forward?
continue to make the next choice that serves us well. Yeah.
Right.
Christmas, thank you so much for being with me today. I cannot wait for the summit. And I will, if you don't know, because I didn't say at the beginning, there's just right at 30 amazing women that are going to share their story and all the different things. I had somebody ask me, they're like, it's all boundaries. How are you going to have 30 different people talk about it? And it was exactly what Christmas just said, our lived experience. Every single one of the lessons are going to be different, what we teach and how we show up and how it's impacted our lives. So I am so excited about this because I truly believe once you start to create a life you love, you start to know who you are. The next step is creating boundaries because you don't do it beforehand because you don't know who you are. You don't know what boundaries to hold that are good for you, just like what you were just talking about. And when you start to create those boundaries, you truly can say yes to what serves you, and I'm not okay with that in a loving, kind way. That's just like honoring who you are. It's a way to say yes to the things that matter and no thank you to those that don't. And
Mhm.
I love it so much. Well, thank you, Christma. I can't wait to have you share at this summit.
Thank you.
Bye.